Liverpool striker Daniel Sturridge has been charged with misconduct by the Football Association in relation to alleged breaches of betting rules. The 29-year-old has until 6 p.m. on November 20th to respond to the charge. Susan Denarge has been named as new chief executive at the Premier League, replacing Richard Judamore. She joins from the Discovery Channel, where she was the global president of Animal Planet. Stokes will bat at 3, and Ben Foakes will be wicketkeeper for England in their second test against Sri Lanka on Wednesday in Paleka. Kevin Anderson is in prime position to qualify for the ATP finals after beating Japan's Kei Nishikori 6-0 and 6-1. The South African won comfortably in 32 minutes. Ronnie O'Sullivan beat Kieran Wilson 10-9 in the Champions of Champions final in Ireland. It was a frantic affair with both players playing fantastic snooker, but O'Sullivan came up with a break of 110 to win.
Welcome back to the Sports Zone on Salford City Radio. Now we're going to be talking box. We've got Paul Whiteside on the phone. Very exciting weekend of boxing, Paul.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was a great night at the Manchester Arena on Saturday night. Tony Bellew's farewell fight. But Tony Bellew was a good fight. But I think the undercard for me stole the show. There were some great fights on the undercard. Really exciting fights as well. 50-50 fights. Great to see Anthony Crolla back to winning ways and back in a world title fight and after winning his eliminator against Dow Jordan. So it was a great night and really exciting, and one that the fans really enjoyed. It was a packed house as well at the arena. I've never seen it that full before, even for Anthony's fight. So a really good night, and I think everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, the Manchester Arena was bouncing to the 21,000 capacity. Bellew and Usyk took to the ring, and do you think the fight delivered?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was an excellent fight, to be honest with you. I know it didn't go the full 12 rounds. He'd stopped Tony in the 8th, but I felt a bit sorry for Tony Bellew. I thought he won the first couple of rounds for me. I thought he boxed really well, but Usyk showed class, I thought, and I think Tony looked to beat a man in sort of 5, 6 and 7, and he looked like a fighter who was beaten. He knew he couldn't sort of get the better of Usyk, and I think he was trying to survive there, and I think it was a good stoppage in the end. Obviously with a knockout there, Tony wasn't going to get up from that, and although he did get back to his feet, I think the referee was right to stop the fight there. There was no way he could have carried on. It was a beautiful punch from Usyk, and he's going to move up now, I think, to heavyweight. He's been touted to fight Anthony Joshua and a few other people. He's going to have to put some size on. He's going to have to put about 3 stone, I think, before he fights Anthony Joshua, but he looks special. For a guy who's had 15, 16 fights, and I think he's amateur pedigree. I think he's won about, it was 300 fights, and he'd won sort of 290 odd of them. So he's had such a great amateur pedigree, obviously in the Olympics as well. So yeah, he's a special fighter, and I'm sure he's going to, as Tony Bellew said on Saturday night, he's going to go from strength to strength now, and he's already got the 4 belts. I think he'll go on for bigger and better things.
So you mentioned there that Bellew got off to an excellent start, and as he won those 3 opening rounds, were you daring to dream that the impossible could actually take place?
Yeah, I was, to be honest, because he was boxing really well. He was frustrating him. He's got a good jab. He's got a powerful right hand as well, Tony Bellew. He was doing things right. I thought it was frustrating. You could see he's got that class, and he was missing him, and I thought he was doing a really good job there, Tony. And as I said before, rounds 4, 5 and 6, Usyk came into his own there then, and I think his class started to tell, and I think Tony knew where the fight was going to go, and obviously that punch was a great punch. I thought, for me, Tony dropped his hands a bit too much. I think he sort of relaxed a bit, and you can't do that against a class fighter like Usyk, and he caught him with a sweet punch there, and I've never seen Tony Bellew get knocked down like that before. He was sort of sparked out there when it was a great punch, and top fight it really was. It was an exciting fight. It was an edge of your seat one. I was sat at the edge of my couch cheering him on, so but yeah, I was disappointed for him because he's been such a good fighter over the years. Now he's the same age as me, Tony, 35 years old, so he's been around the block. He's done great things at light heavyweight, won a world title at cruiserweight at Goodison Park, where he's massive Everton supporter, so he's lived the dream. He has been like sort sort of a Roy of the Rovers of boxing, really, for Tony Bellew, and I think he'd be missed because he's a real character in the sport, and I'm sure he'll stay in the sport, whether it be from like commentating or training or whatever. He's going to stay around the sport, and he's a great character.
So you mentioned there that Tony Bellew won his world title at Goodison Park. He was the underdog there. He was the underdog again when he took on David Hay on those 2 occasions at the O2 Arena. Now, what legacy has Tony Bellew left behind?
I think he's left a real big legacy there. Like, I forgot to mention that, 2 heavyweight fights there against David Hay, and let's not forget he started out as a light heavyweight. He's had some great battles at light heavyweight. One against the Welsh fighter whose name escapes me. I think the memory blanks again. Nathan Cleverly, sorry. And then moved up to cruiserweight, won his world title, and he was the underdog that night in the world title, and he got knocked down that night as well, got off the canvas to win that, and then stepped up to heavyweight. And no one gave him a prayer against David Hay in the first fight, and I think a lot of people were really sceptical in the second fight as well, and he proved us wrong, didn't he? And won them both, showing real character, I think, as well. I think that's what Tony Bellew is. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve. There's not many boxers as about like him. He's had a memorable career, and everyone. Some people say they don't like him. He's a bit like Marmite, but for me, I think he's a character, real character, and he's one that you can really warm to as well. And one thing I will say about him, for a Scouse lad to come to Manchester, and have 21,000 people in Manchester Arena cheering your name, I think just shows what the public think of him.
Yeah, I know the likes of Evander Holyfield and the old version of David Hay might beg to differ on this one, but Alexander Usyk is the first man in history to unify all 4 of the cruiserweight belts. Is he the greatest cruiserweight we've ever seen?
I think he could be. I think, yeah. You've got to look at the guys he's knocked out as well, and he's won on the road. I think he's at six fights. He's won away from home. So he's defended the title 6 times away from home. So, to be the away fighter and come up with the goods, he's a special kind of fighter. And as I said before, he's only had 15 fights, but he's putting them away. You put a fighter in front of him, and he's knocking him down, isn't he? So, he's gone about it the right way. Would he stay around that weight and build his legacy? I'm not too sure. He's cleaned up at that division now, so for him now, bigger and better things with the heavyweight scene. If he can cause some commotion at that weight and win some titles there, the world's really his oyster now. But you're talking about some big names there in Evander Holyfield. It's all about opinions, though. But I think that's a debate that you could ever talk about all night.
So Anthony Crolla, one of Manchester's favourite fighters and a personal favourite of mine, got back to winning ways, and you're happy to see him back in world title contention.
Delighted for Anthony, yeah. I spoke to Anthony the Sunday before and had a good chat with him, and he's always really relaxed and really calm. He's just like the guy next door, really. He's so chilled out, and it was great to see him back. He's such a lovely guy, and you see him coming out there and he ring walk. He's got a big smile on his face, and he doesn't look like a boxer, does he? The way his character is, but he got in the ring on Saturday night. Delighted for him to win that WBA eliminator, so he's got that shot at the world title. I thought he outworked Dow Jordan so well. He was throwing sort of 10 punches to his 1, and Dow Jordan was a really brave kid. I thought he came over here, the away fighter again, and worked his socks off as well. And he had a heart of a lion, but it was a great fight, but a great win for Anthony in a typical Anthony Crolla sort of fight. He targeted the body, but his work rate, you won't find many boxers out there with a higher work rate than Anthony Crolla. He just grafts, he really does, and it was great to see him getting through that fight. And the Lomachenko fight, that could be there for him now. He'll be mandatory if Lomachenko wins this fight, and that's a scary prospect for Anthony, but I'm sure it's one that he'll welcome with open arms, because he's upset people before, and he's just happy to be in that world title fight again.
So that left hook that Alexander Usyk landed on Tony Bellew was definitely a big shot, but arguably the biggest KO of the night came at the hands of Ricky Burns, who stopped Scott Cardle in the 3rd round. Now, what did you make of the KO, and does Ricky have one last world title run in him?
Do you know what? Ricky Burns is one of my personal favourite boxers. I'm a massive Darren Barker fan, massive Anthony Crolla fan, but Ricky Burns, he's like a Scottish Anthony Crolla. He really is. He's that sort of fighter. He's another guy. He's not a trash talker. He's a gentleman outside the ring. Real sort of down-to-earth guy, real humble guy. And, I think it showed at levels on Saturday night when he fought Scott Carl. Scott Carl's a good kid, sort of done well at domestic level, and, brave fighter, been in some real good scraps. But I thought it just showed what level Ricky Burns is still at. He's still at that world level, because he was head and shoulders above Cardle. And the knockout there, I thought was a tremendous punch. I mean, I think he was knocked out before he hit the ground there. he dropped like he'd been shot. It was a tremendous shot, that, and polished performance from Ricky Burns. He looked so switched on and so sharp as well. So much spite in his jab, and like you said, I think he's got another world title shot in him. Definitely, he's 35 years old now, Ricky Burns. But he's, you see him outside the ring in between fights. He never puts any weight on. He stays at that sort of level. Lives in the gym, and he's a model professional, and I hope so, because he's a guy I've really got a lot of time for.
Next up on the Sports Zone, when we're talking football, Manchester Derby, Salford City and England. So Manchester United and Man City went at it over the weekend, James, and Man City came out winners 3-1. What do you make of the game?
Look, as a United fan, I wasn't overly pleased. I think City dominated really from start to finish, if we're going to be honest. We had a severe lack of possession throughout the game. We were lucky to get one goal, but all in all, City seemed to be levels above. I think we desperately missed Paul Pogba, and City probably were the deserving winners.
Do you think United missed Pogba, Paul? Joe, even?
Paul,
Joe, anyone?
Yeah, I do. I only caught about 50 minutes of the game coming back from Shrewsbury. They are a completely different side without Pogba, completely different side without Lukaku. The midfield looks lacklustre, slow. Matip, but didn't turn up. People are calling for him to be dropped. So
I don't know. I personally think that, obviously, I don't know if you ever agree with me, James, here, but obviously, Man United way, they lack a centre forward that holds the ball up, and you've got Lukaku there, who's it's not one of his strongest points, holding the ball up, and the ball just bounces off him all the time. Sanchez is the same, Rashford's the same. So when you've got them three at the front, the ball's not sticking to him. It puts extra pressure on your defenders and your midfielders. So I think that's a big problem which Jose needs to fix.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, Lukaku's obviously very big, very strong, very athletic, but you're right, it's not one of his strong points, and I do think we could do to improve in that area. As well as that, I think the defence seems to be extremely leaky with the likes of Chris Smalling, etc. at the back. Good players, but we could do with a little bit more, determination and grit at the back for me.
What do you make of that, Joe? Do you think you agree with that, or have you got other things thinking?
yeah, I do agree with it. Obviously, the defence is the problem, and it has been since the start of the season. Mourinho's been quite clear about that. But people say the blame lies to the players, some with Mourinho. It's one of them things, if you bring a new manager in, do the team start performing? You see it often in sport, a team will be not performing, and then a new manager will come in and the players will turn around and suddenly start scoring goals.
I don't see how a new manager fixes that problem though, James.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. Look, I've been a fan of Jose Mourinho for a long time. I think over the past few weeks I've supported him more than I've slated him on this show. And he made a good point that United had a very, very good win against Juventus when they won 2-1. They got a couple of late goals. And City had a slightly easier game with Shakhtar Donetsk. Maybe the players were a bit tired, and maybe you can excuse that performance, because we have had a good couple of games back-to-back before this loss.
But is that an excuse? Obviously, Man City have talent all over that team. 2 internationals for each position. Is it really an excuse being tired?
No, not overly. I saw a dream team that had been voted for by fans where you combine Manchester United and Manchester City, and I think United only had 3 players in there. And if you go back a few years, that never ever would have been the case. So more money needs to be invested into buying players, because we don't want to drift further and further down the league.
Does that mean Man City are the biggest club in Manchester now, Joe?
Currently, yeah.
Both on and off the field?
On the field.
Not off the field.
United will always be the biggest. Being a Liverpool fan, United will always be the biggest team in England.
Well, I'm saying a lot of money coming in for City, obviously with sponsorships, and I suppose it's all about building up a dynasty for them in the next sort of 20 years. Look back and build it up for there, really.
Yeah, it's very similar, barring the money side, when Ferguson came in, City, when Mansour came in, not had a little bit of history, weren't really in the Premier League long, came in and he's making a legacy for himself. Fair play to him. I don't like the term, but they're buying the league, because they're buying the best players in the world. But you can buy all the best players in the world. It's similar to Salford. Dr. Marwan Kukash went to buy all the best players in the world. It didn't work. They weren't a team. But this City team, they play like they're playing with their mates. They play, and for me, Sunday was one of the best games of football I've seen the team play in a while. They didn't do anything wrong. The goal, the 44 pass goal, it was just a complete game of football.
Do you agree with that, James? Is that the best performance for City under Pep?
Yeah, I think City look very good, and they are the best team at the moment. It's hard to play against them, but I still believe in Manchester United. I really, really do. And I think going forward, if we make a couple of big signings in January maybe, or towards the end of the season, get some defenders in, maybe get a good striker, and I still think there's a lot to work with.
But I suppose 12 points behind City riding high at the top. They've got Liverpool competing. They aren't going to ease off the gas, are they?
No, they're not. And I think realistically the league this year is going to be won by Manchester City. But, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Going forward, I still see within the next 5 years or so Manchester United coming back and being Premier League winners once again.
It'll be interesting in times. Obviously, it's always a fantastic occasion, Man City and Man United, the Derby Day, and hopefully Jose will get his tactics right and the next game will be much closer.
Yeah, look, Manchester Derby, always a brilliant fixture. You know, we've won a few, they've won a few, so it's give and take. But I think in the years to come, we'll be back firing at our best. Yeah,
let's talk about our other local club, Salford City FC. They were in the FA Cup this weekend, Joe, and drew 1-1. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange game. Obviously, we're going in as the underdogs, as we would say, 2 leagues below him. But they were on a bad run of form. They were sitting 19th in League One. The game itself, they scored a scrappy goal. We were on top for the first 20 minutes. Came firing out the blocks. They got a little scrappy goal from a corner. We replied within 2 minutes. Great ball by Dennis Polak and Adam Rooney. Great technical header. Won the header goal. And that was really it for the rest of the game. We come out the second half and they powered on the pressure for half an hour. We went to 5 at the back. Looked like we're playing out for the draw to get a replay at home, but I don't mind that. We went there and we showed we could compete, and that's all we would ask for on the coach on the way down anyway.
Yeah, it was like you say, it was a good result, and taking them back to Moor Lane. Who knows what might happen down there?
Yeah, I think they'll struggle. We were talking about this on the way back on the coach. They were a better side than us. They were finding us out. We had less time on the ball. They were closing us down. We're giving them time, but on a small pitch like Moor Lane is, they won't have any time. I think that's struggle. And as well, which was quite not funny but quite entertaining to see, is when the full-time whistle went, Shrewsbury fans were singing for the manager out, and he got sacked yesterday.
Right.
So they're coming under caretaker. They might have a new boss by then, so they'll be coming players to prove themselves. So it'll be a good game, and it's live on BT. So obviously it's been put on TV for a reason. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, James, that the opposition's coach got sacked for Salford City?
I think it's probably a bad thing, really. You know, when coaches leave, it usually creates a bit of momentum in the club to go forward under a new coach, so probably a bad thing, really.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting times. Obviously, Joe, FA Cup's got a lot of history with Salford City FC recently anyway, and hopefully another giant killing to come.
Yeah, hopefully. If we get through, we've got Scunthorpe at home as well, which I think could be a chance to be on BBC again. So we've got some good games coming up. Obviously, we've got Aldershot in the league on Saturday. That'll be a difficult game. They're a very good side, Aldershot. Playing tonight against Curzon Ashton in the Manchester Cup. He's put a couple of first teamers out, but he's not focusing on the Manchester Cup. So he's playing the academy, getting the academy time, some first team action. So be good to see them win the cup. They got knocked out last year, first round, so we're 2 rounds further than last year, so it's not too bad.
Have you got the teams there, Joe?
Yeah, in goal it's Max Crocombe even, Sam Odderslove, James Hooper, first team captain Liam Hogan, Michael Fold, academy captain Alex Doyle, Brandon Lockett, England C international Tom Walker, Taylor Dyson, Devante Rodney and Camara Monocliffe. So he's gone with they play a 4-1-2-3, the first team. So he's gone for a similar formation. Alex Doyle will be in the hole to turn to a 5, and Tom Walker playing in centre midfield when he's normally a left winger for the first team. That'd be good to see how he plays. He's been injured a couple of times. Got 20 minutes on Sunday, so getting him some game time. So hopefully get the win and go on to the semis.
Yeah, and then Aldershot at home on Saturday. Hoping for another win there to keep the run going.
Yeah, hopefully get back to winning ways in the league. It's been a past couple of league games, it's been some scrapey draws, so hopefully we can get back to winning ways. There's no easy game in the National League. Every team is very, very difficult to play, home and away. There's very little favourites. It's every team have got good players. Every team's full time, so it's not like National League North playing part-time teams week in, week out. It's a competitive league, but I know Paul pulled me up on about it last week about saying 6 would be nice, but at this time of the year, if you're competing, it's the same with Liverpool, same with Tottenham, Chelsea. If you can stay in and around the top 3, you're in with a chance come May.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Hopefully Salford continue that good form, and who knows, on promotion.
Who knows, we were talking about this on the coach on the way back. Would you take automatic promotion or go up through the playoffs and get a Wembley appearance?
I go automatic promotion. What about you, James?
I'd probably take automatic promotion. It's a bit of a risk going through the playoff phase.
No, we meant it like to definitely win at Wembley.
Oh right, so you wanted to win at Wembley? Is that what? Yeah.
So we definitely get a Wembley appearance. You win at Wembley, or come second or first and go up.
I'd absolutely take winning at Wembley. I'm from Preston, and a few years ago they went at Wembley to go into the Championship from League One. And I know that all the Preston fans absolutely loved that day. So, yeah, Wembley I'd go for.
Yeah, I think I'll see Salford C at Wembley before I see Salford Rugby.
You think so?
In the next year. We've got the FA Trophy as well, which is at Wembley as well, which we're second favourites to win.
You never know. You could be walking out Wembley way, after all.
Yeah, in red as well.
Yeah. Obviously, getting towards the end of the show now, let's talk England briefly. They play the United States on Thursday. James, Rooney's farewell appearance in an England shirt. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people give Wayne Rooney a little bit of stick, but you can't blame the man for wanting to play one last game for Queen and Country. So, really looking forward to it, and I hope Wayne has a brilliant game.
And then, obviously, they play Croatia on Saturday, a kind of a replay of the semi-final of the World Cup. Do you think it'll be any better this time round?
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously, we lost in that World Cup semi-final, and I think we had a pretty boring draw when we played Croatia in that stadium when there was nobody in the league a few weeks ago. But I hope this time around that England can get a win and get one back over the team that dumped us out the World Cup.
Do you think Wayne Rooney should have a farewell appearance, Joe, against USA?
Yeah.
You think? All from what he did? Or do you reckon should Gareth Southgate use these games to play his players?
No, it's a pre-season friendly. He plays a lot of under-21s kids. There's no harm in it. He's England's top goal scorer at the end of the day. He's been a former captain of England. He's Manchester United's top goal scorer. Under him, he didn't get a farewell appearance because his form dropped off. So give him 120 caps, even number, get his last cap, farewell appearance, no problem in it. He's a national hero for footballing, top goal scorer.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Obviously, the England goalkeeper situation, James, Pickford, Butland, McCarthy, and is it Bellini? Got a minute to tell us who do you think should be the number one?
I personally would go with Pickford. I've seen him at Deepdale when he was on loan at Preston North End. He's a serious talent, and I think he showed just how talented he is at that World Cup. So yeah, I can't see any other option other than Pickford.
And what about you, Joe?
Yeah, I think the only option is Pickford for me. Butland, Stoke Championship. Bartolina, Fulham, dropped. Alex McCarthy, Southampton, leaking goals. If Pickford don't get picked, if Pickford picks up an injury, who have we got? Historically, your first team's got to be Premiership. Jack Butland, Stoke. He's gone down and he's still getting in England for me. So, Pickford.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who Gareth Southgate's picks on Thursday and on Sunday. A big thanks for tuning in to this week's Sports Zone on Salford City Radio. I've been Rob Parkinson, and we'll see you next week.
Bringing our community together. 94.4 FM.
Your local community radio station. Salford City Radio.
The League Trophy!